who's been the most surprising Leaf so far this season, Michael Lepore? Would you like to go first, or would you like me to start things off?
You do the honors this time, Bruno. I did the negative one first, so you do this one.
All right, Lepore, I'll start things off. So the most surprising Leaf, if you've been listening to this show since we've started, I've been very, very hard on Wayne Simmonds. I just think last year he was bad, but this year he has surprised the hell out of me. I think Wayne Simmonds has looked really nice this year, and I think he's having a nice bounce back season, playing on the fourth line with Jason Spezza. Last year, there were times where they were trying to force him into the top six, and I didn't think it was the ideal fit for Wayne Simmonds, but playing down in the lineup, less minutes, I think that's been great. So he's been really surprising, but he has not been the most surprising Leaf, in my opinion. That honor, according to Anthony Bruno, goes to Timothy Lilligren.
Ooh.
Timothy Lilligren, because I'll even go back to the summer when the Leafs protected Justin Hall in the expansion draft, which I thought was a disaster. I thought that they should have protected the 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goalie, because I believed in not only Rasmus Sandin, but Timothy Lilligren. Now, I never thought Lilligren, and I still don't think he's ever going to be as good as Rasmus Sandin. I just think Sandin has more talent, more skill in general. They're different players, right? But what I've seen from Timothy Lilligren so far this season, I've been really impressed. He's playing now over 15 minutes a game so far this season, playing on that third pair with Rasmus Sandin. They have good chemistry going back to their time in the American Hockey League. But even looking at some of the advanced numbers, like you look at expected goals for percentage, number 1 on the Leafs is Rasmus Sandin. Number 2 is Timothy Lilligren. You look at high danger scoring chance percentage, Lilligren right up there as well. Second on the team behind Rasmus Sandin in terms of the amount of high danger scoring chances he's on the ice for. So I love what I've seen from those guys on the bottom pair, and specifically Lilligren, who I didn't think would be this good, really. And you can maybe poke holes in this a little bit and say he's made some mistakes, but I think for the most part, playing in a third pairing role, just over 15 minutes a game, not playing against the opposition's best players, I think he's looked really good, both from an offensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, physically as well. So I think, this is a guy who, it was his time. Like, enough of leaving him in the minors in the AHL. Like, Timothy Lilligren at some point had to start playing NHL games, and I'm glad we're finally starting to see it this season.
Yeah, to your point about the underlying numbers, I saw recently they did a posting of all the defensive pairs in the NHL and their expected goals percentage. And the number 1 pair in the league was Sandin and Lilligren. Now, as you mentioned, they're not playing against the other team's best players. So you can have whatever opinion you have on that pair regard to the stat. But at the end of the day, well, it's good. So, I mean, it's better that it's good than it's average or bad. So shout out to those two. I myself haven't been like as bullish on Lilligren as others have been. Like, I see what he brings, and like, to me, he's fine, but still, man, like I still find him a little too raw sometimes, and some mistakes are made. Like I mentioned that one against Philadelphia when he turned it over at the offensive blue line, the puck came back the other way. I find sometimes he's not the most confident when the puck's on his stick coming out of his own end. And that's not to say he hasn't been good, like, for what we expect. And I got to be honest, like, with Sandin coming in, us keeping those 4 defensemen, Dermott being around, like, there was a debate as to whether we were done here with Timothy Lilligren. And he's shut a lot of people up. He's been the lineup, and he's been a presence, so good for him. I'm going to go a little off the board with my answer. I'm going to go with, for the most surprising player of the Toronto Maple Leafs so far this season, I'm going to go with Ondrej Kasha. Okay. And similar to what I said about Mrazek in the way of, like, this is just bad with regard to value, Kasha's been good, man. 1.25 million for a guy who's got 4 goals. He's got goals in 3 straight, as I mentioned earlier. He's good defensively. You touched on the numbers, the underlying numbers of Lilligren. Kasha's underlying numbers are very good. For a guy to get this opportunity, and like, similar to Bunting, and I say this about Kampf too, these guys look happy to be here. They look happy to be part of this team, and they're contributing how they can contribute. And I guess at the end of the day, they know their roles. And to see them to see them producing, like I said, Kasha, like 4 goals already. I think he's only got 1 helper, but I mean, we'll take the 4 goals, especially with the concerns of lack of depth scoring. But I'll go with him just because it's like completely out of left field. And if someone told me that at this point of the season, Kasha would be playing the way he was playing and at the 4-goal mark for the salary he makes, I'd be like, I'm down with that. So Andre Kasha is my answer.
I like that, Lepore. And you know, actually, why I think he's also been arguably the most surprising Leaf is because, knock on wood, he's been healthy.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten injured. This is a guy that has dealt with injuries his entire career. Now I can already see Anthony Bruno jinxing Andre Kasha. He's going to suffer some, crazy injury in the next game. But this is a guy that has stayed healthy. He's looked good. And you know what? I think come playoff time, because yes, Lepore, I still expect this team to make the playoffs. And I don't really think they're going to have an issue making the playoffs for that matter. I think we're going to see Andre Kasha as a fixture in the top 6.
Oh, hot take.
I really do, because this past game, you just saw Kasha move up onto the top line with Matthews and Nylander. And even Sheldon Keefe mentioned, he's like, we wanted to give Kasha a look on the top line. And I think, the further we go into this season, he is displaying the most skill and the most explosiveness of all these depth guys. And no one has really run away with the job at all. Like Alex Kerfoot has had to slide into, a winger role. And sure, he's played center at times as well. But Kerfoot has been that guy that's, become a fixture in the top 6, playing with, Tavares and Marner on the wing. But there still hasn't been that perfect fit with Matthews and Nylander. And I think Kasha might end up being that guy the further we get into the season and come playoff time. So I've been impressed for sure with the play of Andre Kasha.
Would be awesome.